Welcome to another edition of Huddle Up here on Northwest Access TV. Our first one in months, honestly. Because we've had some changes to our studio, and we're in a new building and new studio and everything. And welcome to the panel here at Huddle Up. We have Dustin, Bryce, Nick, and JT. Bunch of children on the show this morning.
That's right.
Didn't want to look professional or anything. No.
You just got me with that magical guest tagline under Bryce's name.
Magical guest. He is a magical guest.
I lobbied for local magician.
Local magician.
Oh, man.
We settled on magical guest.
Maybe Magic Man or something.
Just came out of nowhere and
Local
just
magician.
hit me like a
You don't know
pound
any
of bricks.
tricks.
Do
you know any tricks?
My trick is rooting for the Magic.
That's not a trick.
That's not a trick. That's depression.
Sneaking into the set.
Yes, let's begin in every show as we have with our show starters. And for mine, I'd like to start with mine, but now I'm going to bring it up because I don't know where it is. The Lane Johnson for the Philadelphia Eagles went on a rant, offensive tackle, I believe, went on a rant again recently about Bill Belichick saying, here's what pissed me off. I respect Bill, I respect Tom Brady, but just because the way that they won the Super Bowl the Patriot way is how everyone else is supposed to do the same thing. No, it's not, and that's what I got mad at.
Stop texting, Paul.
I keep thinking to myself, it's been 3 months. You won the Super Bowl. Why are we still talking about this? Anyone, please chime in if you can, because it just drives me nuts that this is even still bringing it up. As your resident Eagles fan.
The only thing in Eagles mindset that I have on my mind is a 6'8", 350-pound rugby player. That's the only thing
we're
in
talking
Philly
draft
land
now.
that I'm focused on. Forget.
I just 3 months after the fact, and the fact that you even won it, just drives me nuts that we're even still talking about it.
I feel like it's just
why
making
is it being
noise
brought
for the
up?
sake of making noise.
He brought it up. He was asked a question. He brought it
Probably
up.
because the Celtics just beat the Sixers.
No, that's nothing. Maybe.
probably-
I mean, maybe. But like,
Have Eagles fans forgiven Mike Lombardi yet? No? This is not going to happen? Okay,
No.
that's fine.
just straight no.
Let's go down the line.
You have to think about it.
JT's got some NBA offseason talk.
Yeah, I want to look at. We had so much shuffle around and trying to create our next super teams, and obviously, for the vast majority of it, that all failed. I mean, we can pretty much look at OKC and say that tanked, and Paul George is gone. Yeah. You very well know LeBron is gone. Yeah. Where are the powers going to shift? I mean, we know the power's not going to shift to the East or to any one team in the East. It's going to shift West. But who has the most chance to get the duo of LeBron and Paul George?
I think.
Why do you assume
together?
Why do you understand why do you think they're a package deal?
I don't think they are.
I think they are.
I don't think they are, and I think, we've heard reports about the 76ers. I think that's a really good-looking
They can't get
destination.
both of them, though.
They can't get both of them.
No.
Yeah.
But it's a very good-looking destination if you're somebody like Paul George, because you have two pieces of help in Simmons and Embiid, and you also have Fultz. Fultz, I don't know how to pronounce his last name. He hasn't played at all. But he's
Assuming
still,
he still can play.
There's still that potential there for him to come back. And you look at a team like Philadelphia on the upswing. Made the second round of the playoffs in a year that wasn't really supposed to be the playoff year for them. They were still supposed to be like right on that 7, 8, or 9 bubble. And that's a really good destination, I think, for a guy like Paul George or LeBron James. I think
LeBron would kill that team. LeBron would murder that
I think
team.
LeBron kills
Murder hasn't
a
been
lot
there,
of
and
teams.
then
He would dish everyone out. He wants something different. He would destroy that team. Paul George, I think,
Bill
could do
Simmons
well.
made a good point recently about he wouldn't want to see LeBron on that team if he was in control of the Sixers, because you have a potentially transcendent talent in Ben Simmons, and why do you want the ball out of his hands?
Right.
Like, you want that guy to develop and to run the offense.
LeBron
I know
James,
Embiid is
LeBron
a
James
better
isn't
player.
the answer for Philly, because it's all going to be about LeBron James, and there's a lot of talent on that team that you actually want to see excel.
Yeah, I mean,
And I think Paul George would be a good fit in that case because it isn't all about Paul George.
and he's a better defender than Robert Covington, which is
by a mile.
So again,
Fine, you can take
where does LeBron go?
well, if you're trying to get LeBron and Paul George on the same team, my
even
guess is
just
one
put
of the
LeBron.
LA teams.
Yeah.
Just LeBron.
Just
if you were
LeBron?
going to put LeBron somewhere, where would be the best?
I
I selfishly kind of want to see him in San Antonio.
I
I
don't.
want to see Pop
That would
coach
be
him.
weird. That would be really
I want
weird.
to see Pop coaching.
That would be miserable.
All right.
No.
It would be bizarre.
Sticking with veteran leadership, let's go over to Nick. He wants to talk about Al Horford with the Celtics.
Yeah, Al Horford hasn't gone completely under the radar in the playoffs so far. They've talked about him a lot, but not as much as they should be.
He's been pushed under the bus.
Yeah, I mean, the way that he's kind of just stepped up with all the injuries, and you look at his numbers in the playoffs and not in the playoffs. The regular season, he averaged 12.9 points per game. He's up to 17.1 in the playoffs. He's basically running the Celtics offense at times, and he's just made so many smart decisions with the ball, and you know that. He's the veteran running around out there with 20-year-olds, and I think that
Is this a surprise or is what he did in Atlanta?
He's
No,
the
this is
smartest
why
defender
I,
on the floor.
Yeah, I think that.
I would argue all of that.
Well, I would
I
argue
think
all
there is a single-handed most important player to the Boston Celtics team.
Look,
Tatum?
No.
Smart.
Smart.
Marcus
Oh,
Smart
yeah,
is
Smart-
the
Smart brings
most
the energy.
important
Smart, I think you
person on
consider
that
as
team.
the heart on
Yeah,
that team
for
right
sure.
now. But when you're talking about leadership,
Not-
It's
I
got to
think
be Al
just
Hartford.
hard, yeah.
It's Al because
His
Al,
defense.
nobody ever really talked about him when he was with the Atlanta Hawks, but he was a top 20 player in Atlanta. He was
played
really,
very
I think
Great
people
for
talked about him. They
Atlanta.
talk about him like they talk about Anthony Davis in a sense where he's like the lone man on the team. That's
And
doing
now
it.
that he's kind of taken that, like, all right, these are the last 4-ish years of my career, he's really been able to help that young team come together and just be that rock of leadership in those crunch time situations.
I get
because-
glimpses of like a Kevin Garnett with
Yeah.
the Celtics.
Yes.
But the thing
Towards
that
the
I
end
love,
of your career, I guess kind of towards the end of your career, but like, you're that veteran and you're that
Yeah.
guy taking everyone, but you're still surrounded by great talent and you can still play your own
But
game.
the thing I love about Horford, though, is that even though, I mean, Marcus Smart definitely brings that defensive tenacity like nobody's business. But Horford, I think, is the smartest defender out there because he's really running the entire team's defensive
agree.
scheme,
Exactly,
calling
yeah.
out all of the switches. I mean, when you watch, I guess we'll get into this when we talk about the series a little bit, but when you watch the Celtics defend, I mean, you see Terry Rozier guarding about 4 different guys on one possession, the way that they switch,
around.
and Horford's calling out.
He's the
a lot
quarterback
of
of that
He
defense.
is,
Yeah,
for
really
sure.
is, yeah.
For
Sticking
sure.
with basketball, let's go to Bryce. Lottery pick for the Orlando Magic. No tank. I'm good.
Well, we tried to tank. We ended up with the 6th pick. Could have been 5, thanks to the Atlanta Hawks for knocking us back a spot. But really, besides me saying my team can't even tank properly, I think really like the draft lottery changes that are coming next year, they're not going to do anything to prevent people from tanking. All it does is smooth out the chances of the worst 3 teams in the league. Each of them gets 14% chance at the number 1 pick instead of it being sort of tiered. But that's it. Everything else stays the same. I think to prevent tanking, I think we ought to go back to every team that doesn't make the playoffs gets the same odds at getting the number
But
1
when we're
pick.
talking
No,
about
I don't
when we're
even-
talking about tanking, you're talking about the bottom 3 are going to get the same amount. If you're towards the bottom 3 anyway,
Yeah.
is it really considered tanking or is your team just that bad?
I think you're just playing bad
When you're talking
basketball.
about when we talk
But
about
that
this with
takes
football,
effect
hold on, when
next
we talk
year.
about this with football, there's only 16 games in the season that you're playing.
Yeah.
As opposed to basketball, you're playing over 80. You can't really fool everyone. If you're tanking in basketball, it's pretty clear.
If you watch
in
the
football,
Dallas
you have a
Mavericks
less,
at all
less
this
amount of
year.
games to do that with.
And let's be very clear, I don't think Orlando actually tried to tank. I mean, they just are that bad, Bryce.
They are, but you should have seen some of those lineups Frank Vogel was running out. Those were some
I mean, it
tanking
did great
lineups.
for their power rankings at the beginning of the
So
year.
I guess
They were
I
number
disagree
one,
with
baby.
you
They were
here,
number
Bryce.
one.
You were number 1.
I want to disagree here because I think the best way to stop tanking is to go to the. I think you get rid of a stupid lottery because you make it so the worst team gets the pick because.
But that's
it's
everybody's
really,
going to tank.
But
down
no,
the
no,
worst.
they're not.
That's
No,
crazy.
everybody's not going to tank it because it's going to be harder to get that first overall.
No,
pick
the
in
lottery
that
makes
case.
sense for that because that's what makes the first pick harder is by having the lottery.
No, I don't.
It
like
does
the
because
idea.
that team that's the worst team may not get the first
So
pick.
what
Yes, they have
about
the better odds?
what about in the case of like we have a team that is actually really really bad and they're not trying to tank, they're just awful, and then they keep getting the 5th or 6th pick because they keep getting bad lottery odds. Like I like how the NFL does it. I like how the 1 through 32 is decided by the worst
But you
team to the
can't
best
tank
team.
in football.
I think it's a lot harder. There's a lot more. There's a lot
it's
more
a lot
like,
harder
pieces
to-
involved.
That's true. You
can't hide behind the curtain.
It's hard
when
to
you're
tank
tanking in
overall.
It
really.
really is hard to tank
It's-
because tanking.
You
is
see
an
how
art.
many teams fail at it. It's
Trust the
just
process.
it's not
Yeah.
an easy
Oh,
thing.
the process is dead. Stop it. Let's go over to
Al
Dustin,
Horford killed
the
it.
man of the process.
My-
Cano.
My thing is Robinson Cano, former Yankee, is suspended now for 80 games for
throwing
the
in the Yankee there.
for
He's been on the team in like 4
for the
years.
for the performance enhancing drugs thing, and I find it a little shocking because he's probably the biggest name to get suspended for it in the last couple years because since the end of the steroid era, people are not getting suspended anymore, and this guy got caught, and this
What
was
about Braun?
Braun was what 4 years ago?
Yeah, it was a while ago.
It was a while ago, and the thing about Cano that makes it awful now is that the Seattle Mariners have just started to not suck. Like, they are competing for the division title this year. It looks like they've gotten it together.
But
you know.
he's hurt anyway.
But even it doesn't matter.
And
that
Seattle
he's-
teams are no
He was being
strangers
put on the
to
DL
PEDs.
anyway.
Yeah.
Even if he's going on the DL, the fact of the matter is to still get caught using, and it wasn't even a steroid he got caught using. He got caught using
With a
something
masking
that
agent.
masking a steroid. And there was a rumor about this. You know, there were rumors that he was using, PEDs when he was a member of the Yankees, the biogenesis stuff a couple years ago. And then I saw something on the other day that says, he had a case with the MLB at the beginning of the year. He fought it and he won. So it's like, you're already on the MLB's radar for this. I would lay off the juice at this point because it feels like if you are already on the radar and you get caught, it's like you're just being dumb at that point. Like lay
Well,
off
who
it.
cares? It's Robinson Cano. He's towards the end of his career. He's not a Hall of Famer. If you want to talk about a player
End of his
like
career?
Paulie, you want to take that one?
he's towards the end of his career.
I mean,
Slash not a Hall of Famer?
He's
He's not
You
a
wanna
Hall of
take that
Famer.
one? You guys
He
wanna take that
will
one?
not be a Hall of Famer.
Well, now he won't, but I think he
No, he
would
won't.
have been
Still.
before.
Even still, he had no
I think.
chance.
No, before I still think he was because he's
He's
considered one of the
one-
greatest sole second basemen.
He's
ever.
one of the second-
I think he
best
has the most
second
home
basemen to play
runs
last
for
20 years.
sole second basemen out there. So I mean,
would
to
not
say he was
have
not a Hall of
been a Hall
Famer,
of
I think is a stretch. I think that he's a.
Yeah, I think he
would have
would have
been.
been, yeah.
But with this issue now, I think that every
Pfeffer.
baseball writer out there will pretty much put him on their own blacklist.
Yeah.
So.
And look at what the Mariners have now on their roster for PED users. They have D. Gordon and Nelson.
Who's
Cruz.
actually replacing, I think,
Yep.
Cano at second base.
Yeah. So it's
Who's
kind of
also a PED
ironic
user.
there.
He's
Is
taken after the Seahawks.
Oh.
Seattle way of life.
Hey.
We're well into our today's lineup for topics today. Let's go back to basketball because that's the big talk. Game 2 reactions. I don't think either of us saw what was going to happen in a way. I think there are a lot of analysts that gave, I think, Houston and Boston the over-under in wins at 2, and so far they've overmatched that. So Boston up 2-0 over Cleveland, which is a big shock to myself as well. I think to everyone else here. And then Houston and Golden State at a 1-1. So, Bryce, you want to take it away for to start? Just game 2 reaction.
What now?
After game 2
kidding.
reactions.
What's playoffs?
Base.
After the lottery, there were games. Did you watch them?
Oh wow. No. Look, I mean, I think the Celtics are playing fantastic basketball
They are.
and so much fun to watch. I love the schemes that Brad Stevens has put in, but I especially love how the players are actually carrying them out. I love the attitude of this team. Just this kind of there's grit there, right?
Yeah.
That they never take a possession off.
Yeah.
And I think even the way they celebrate defensive possessions where maybe a player does make a 2, but they close out really well to prevent a 3-pointer, and like that's something to celebrate, right? And so I think
You were ready to just let that
I was just
top
sorry,
him
I
up.
just
man,
moved
man,
your
oh,
topic.
sorry,
I was
thanks,
like-
thanks. Thanks.
Is it exciting, or is it because of the home field, the home court type
for
of
sure,
atmosphere? 'Cause
for sure.
That's what
It
I'm kind of
helps them,
grasping
yeah.
for, is because
Yeah.
yes, they're celebrating, yes, they're having a great time, but it's because they're at home, and it's
For
just
sure.
the atmosphere
And that's
around
the
them
thing,
is what's like
the
enhancing
series isn't
that.
done. Boston has essentially held serve here, right? And now it's Cleveland's time to serve. So we'll see if Cleveland can do the same.
But let's make sure that we are remembering that the only series that the NBA Finals is on right now.
Yeah, pretty much. Like
Yeah. Oh, for
There's
sure.
no hope for
For sure.
Boston or
Well,
Cleveland.
you say it's
to
on
beat
right now.
Either Golden
Whoa, whoa, whoa.
State or
You say it's on
Houston.
right now, but Game 2 for Houston and Golden State showed nothing from Golden State at all. So to say that
And
it's
Game
even,
1 showed nothing
to say
from
it's even
Houston.
competitive right now, I would say it's not. Yes, each team has won a game, but Golden State didn't show up
Well,
yesterday.
the
And I
NBA
know the
finals
Celtics
last
matches
year
up
were
with
terrible.
either
Neither
of those
Eastern
teams better
Conference
than
team
Cleveland.
has a chance
Yeah.
of beating either of those Western Conference
I'm
teams.
not. Yeah, I'm
bunch
not
of
saying that,
rocks,
but
man.
So
so
that's why the finals
But
are
a couple
on.
years ago, we said like, oh, if if San Antonio and Golden State get to the conference finals, that's our NBA finals. I don't see these two teams as an NBA finals caliber thing with Houston and Golden State.
It's been a bad series
be
so
better.
far.
It should be better. It's not
Yeah.
better. So the expectations are extremely low for me right now. I'm not having fun watching that series at all.
No, but whoever wins that wins.
I'm sure they do.
Yeah.
But I'm not
yeah.
saying that's not also your finals. Like it's not a finals matchup we were excited about. We were more excited about over these last 5-6 months, and then we're getting like nothing.
I think
Yeah,
it's
the
really
first two
weird
games
as I
have
was
not been
watching the first half of the Rockets Warriors game last night, because those West Coast games are just brutal to stay up.
It only starts at 9. It's better than 10:30.
That's true. That's true. But I'm going to go to work and turn on the second half. Even though it looks like I really don't need to. I think what kind of got me last night watching that game is that I feel like Houston is the best unwatchable team
Yes.
out there.
Yeah.
That like they run so much isolation with Chris Paul and James Harden. That's not fun to watch. I mean, last night they were definitely passing and getting better offense than game one when it was like just isolation.
But they're 550 dribbles
Yeah.
for James Harden,
Right,
and
right, and combined for
549
Durant,
for
Curry,
Curry.
and Thompson.
Yeah.
And so like that's cool to watch. And I was even thinking about specifically Chris Paul. The guy is so good. He's so good, but he's just close to unwatchable because of how much he embellishes and flops and tries to draw fouls. And it's
whole
just it's
series has
unwatchable,
just been-
right? And where
The
the
Warriors
Warriors, they're also a great team. Warriors, Rockets, I think 1-2 in the league. In any given order, but the Warriors are so much more watchable because of the different style of offense that they play.
They got better ball movement.
Oh,
all over the
absolutely.
place.
Not
Yeah.
last night. Last night
That-
their
not
ball
last
movement
night.
was pretty poor.
And their turnovers, especially in the first quarter, were just boneheaded.
Well,
they
they-
just didn't get.
I was
They
wa-
came out flat right from the start.
I was watching a lot of it, and like I kept looking at it like Draymond was trying to make one too many passes instead of just taking the shot. There was a lot of just too much extra ball movement.
Yeah.
A couple of bad passes right
I
at
feel like I've
people's
heard this
feet.
before. Did they not? You made almost the exact same argument when they played Cleveland in the finals 2 years ago, where you were saying that trying to be too fancy.
Yeah. It's
well,
what they
I mean,
do.
that's been
They-
the
they-
MO
they-
of this team for the last few
Yeah.
years.
Right.
They're
I mean,
so unselfish that sometimes they just need to be. Which Durant
yeah.
has really taken over, and he's played really well.
Right.
Curry's
Which is
seemed
funny
to
because I
have
wouldn't
lost
call
his
him.
shooting
I wouldn't
stroke.
call him selfish either. Like he just seems to
Yeah.
be doing the.
He's just
like,
the second
It's
best
just
player
Durant
on the
doing
planet.
Durant things.
He's just the only one on the team who plays ISO. I mean,
that's true.
But no, I
Yeah.
agree with your take, Bryce, that the Rockets are the best team that is just not fun to watch.
Oh, yeah.
It's not. It doesn't feel like it's quality basketball, and sometimes you ask yourself, it's like, wow, I guess they have two great players and they're winning all these games, but it doesn't really feel like it's a team dynamic that will be successful long term. I don't think.
Although, real quick, props to Clint Capella because I think that
Capella
he's
has come out
severely
of his shell
underrated.
this year.
Yeah.
He's
But
somebody nobody
he's a
ever
good-
talks
sorry.
about.
Keep going.
he is probably the most improved player in the NBA.
Oh, Victor Oladipo.
Oh, Oladipo wins that by a mile. Come on,
yeah.
come
Did you
on.
see him
come
last
on.
night? Okay,
Such a
Come
homer.
on.
It's such a homer, man.
Come on.
No,
All right. So what do you see going forward then? So we have again we're 1-1 in the West Coast.
I mean, I think in the Western Conference, I think they played
is
those
this
two
just a
games.
fluke? Does Golden State win the next 3? No problem.
No, I don't think Golden State wins the next 3. I think the next 2 are in Golden State, I believe. And Oracle is a tough place to play.
Yeah.
I think Golden State will take both of them at home. I think Houston can win a game 5 back in Houston. And I think it goes to 6, and I think the Warriors win in 6. If I really had to guess,
Yeah.
this is a Warriors team that is just so good. And the fact of the matter is that, it's not fair to the other 29 teams in the league at this point. Like, you have to put together a super team that not only likes each other.
Especially when Durant takes a pay cut this year.
Klay Thompson's going to take a pay cut. I don't think it's too far out to believe that the Golden State Warriors might cause our next NBA lockout or NBA labor dispute, because it is so unfair to the other 29 owners to see that this team just come together and say, yeah, we're all going to take below our market value to stay together, and we're just going to keep winning titles. And I think you can make an argument for the
that player's
long-term
choice,
health.
though?
It is player's choice.
It's the point of free agency.
But for the long-term health of the league, if one team is going to just keep winning title after title after
So
title.
create a team, because I'm telling you right now, Boston's not far off.
Boston's not far off, and I think with Hayward,
I think the Warriors are the present.
Right, but
Boston and Philly
But Boston's
are the
doing
future.
it the way that everyone does it. It's through draft picks. It's
Well, the
through,
Warriors-
it's through
but-
development.
but
The
that's-
Warriors had that already. Then they went out and got a big
KD.
name
They
in
traded
KD,
Harrison
so-
Barnes for KD. Like, come on. Like, that's like, oh, here is this old
Seems
rusty.
like a fair trade.
This is old, like, rusty 1971 Chevy, and we're just
think
going to give
I'm-
you a Lamborghini.
I think
Like,
I'm past the whole though, like blaming Kevin Garnett now. It's more like, you know what? He's out there to get his rings,
Durant.
and he.
Durant.
Oh, sorry, Durant. What did I say?
Garnett.
Cool. I like Garnett too. So I'm past like the whole KD thing. KD, Kevin Garnett.
No, I
KG.
still don't like
KD.
KD.
So I'm still kind of past that because he's out there getting rings. They're doing it. Like I get he's on this team, but they're making sacrifices for him too. So
I
at the
still
same time,
think
It was a
KD
better
is-
basketball situation for him.
Right.
You know, not just
And
winning
a
rings,
play
but
style that he prefers. He doesn't want to play iso ball all night long.
he's still, like I said, he's still doing Durant things. He's still out there putting up 20, 30
Westbrook.
points
And
every
I
game.
still
But
think he's
with half
softer
the
than
shots.
soft serve,
Right.
but that's besides the point. He's also making burner Instagram accounts to
Yeah.
like KD is one of the softest superstars in the league.
is he
Kevin
soft,
Durant is,
or is he just the most honest superstar?
I don't know. I don't know.
I personally can't stand him.
I
I
feel
don't-
like that
he's
goes to
snake.
Draymond Green,
Yeah.
like hands down, most honest NBA player.
Yeah.
Draymond
Who
Green
just
has
does
a
not
podcast.
care. I'm just gonna talk. This is what I'm saying. Like he doesn't
Draymond
care.
Green
He's
has
just
a
gonna say his mind.
podcast?
Yeah, I
Oh
would listen to it. I'm a little scared to
goodness.
listen to it.
Was it Charles Barkley that said to
That he wanted to punch him
Draymond
in the
Green like
face?
I'm gonna punch him in the face, and
punch you in
Draymond
the
Green's
face.
like, don't say that if you're not gonna do it.
Come back here. Hit me. Let's
That's
go.
pretty honest. Like, there's not a lot of people would be like, oh, people get mad. Blah, blah, blah. No, he was just like, you better punch me when you see me. So let's stick with we're gonna stick with basketball. We're talking a lot of the coaches. There's some coaching back and forth. That's kind of people have been fired, people have been disrespected. So I want to talk about that a little bit as well. We have our own group chat that goes around that just we don't ever stop talking about it. Toronto's coach was fired, Dwayne Casey, right? And yet he was also just nominated for Coach of the Year
By his
and
peers.
by
And
by
by-
NBA,
and
by
by the
peers,
NBA.
and by the NBA as a nominee, along with Coach Stevens for Boston, and then Snyder over at Utah. So my question to you, and actually it was kind of funny because the Toronto Raptors Twitter account actually said "Congrats, Coach" on social media, which I think is kind of
Awkward.
a little awkward.
Hey, he's still getting paid by them. Even though
So
he's
we'll
been
start with
fired,
coaches,
like-
and then we'll finally get over to what we think for MVP, the MVP nominations. But I wanted to get in coaching first, your thoughts and everything, because I have my own opinions too. But
You want to start or do you want me to
To
start?
it.
let's start JT start.
Oh, we'll have JT start?
The way I look at it is him getting fired was an absolute joke because it's not his fault. Your best player is a player who can't shoot the basketball. He can drive. He's a one-trick pony. He's a bad defender. And you call him a superstar and the best player on your team. If that's the best player on your team, you have no chance of winning an NBA championship. He's a joke. And the fact you benched him makes you that much better of a coach because he sucked in that series. Painfully. Why would you play that?
No, I agree with that since, I think Dwayne Casey's a very good coach, and I think part of the reason why, he got the, nomination is that he took his system and he completely changed it. And he ran into LeBron, and LeBron just destroyed him, but it's not Dwayne Casey's fault that those players went soft in the playoffs. And in game 3, I believe it was, when he did bench DeRozan, they did better. That bench did better. Like they were coming back in that game. They had a chance to win that game 3 in Cleveland. And I think Dwayne Casey's going to be one of those guys. So yes, he got fired from the Raptors. And look, the Raptors had to make some type of change. I think the Raptors are on that verge of, look, we try 2 years with a new coach and we see if it works and then we blow it up. And I
This is
think,
his third year, right?
well, this is the third year of Dwayne Casey in that core. So you give that core 2 more years with
They
a
had a
new
winning
coach.
record.
Like you
into
give
the playoffs.
And then if it doesn't work after 2 years, you blow it up after that. But I think Dwayne Casey is going to be one of those guys who can get a coaching opening. Maybe not this coming year, but the year after, and will be a really good hire for a team that wants to build a good foundation.
Yeah.
and
Bryce, don't
Yeah,
even
a
say it.
rebuilding team.
Well,
Pick 'em
Don't
up.
even say it.
Go get him, Orlando. No, they just said Kelvin Sampson is their leading contender. Which
You seem
I
real
just-
happy about that.
Yeah.
Who is that?
I've never heard of that guy
He
before.
coaches. He's been a college coach. He last
right.
coached Houston. He coached at one of the power schools a long time ago. Got hit with some sanctions. I
Oh,
believe,
no big
for
deal.
recruiting.
Oh, so he's-
No recruiting
All right.
violations in the NBA. No,
He can pay his players in the NBA. So that's
yeah. No, Kentucky players take a pay cut. No, I like Dwayne Casey. I think he's a really good coach. I can understand why Masai Ujiri, the GM for Toronto, made the change. Because I think sometimes a team can sort of hit a ceiling with a certain coach, even though he's a really good coach. And I think sometimes you
But
just
how do you
need...
call that on the coach and not on the players?
No, I think
You've
it's
got
both.
a team that's
but,
not built for
But
that.
the easiest change is the coach as
Oh,
opposed
wow.
to these players,
Fair
right?
enough.
And so I think you saw the same thing in OKC when they fired Scott Brooks. They just made a bad choice in replacing him
Oh, that was
with
a terrible choice.
what's it, Billy Donovan from Florida. But I think you also saw the same thing in early 90s Chicago when Doug Collins is a good coach, but they hit their ceiling, they replaced him with Phil Jackson, and Phil Jackson got them over the edge. Now, I don't think Toronto has the type of talent that Chicago does, and I think Toronto's in this weird no man's land where if they get a coach that they believe can take them over to the edge, they're getting to the end of a potential end of a LeBron era, continually running into him. If he goes west,
you guys are
if he
already
goes west,
selling him out west. I don't see it.
I'm saying if, but now the problem is now they have two other potential juggernauts in the East in Boston and Philly that they have to try to get past every year. And
Two
so,
very young teams,
right?
too.
So for this Toronto team, I
that's why I say
ultimately
it's
don't
2
think
years.
it's going to happen for them.
That's why I say
Yeah,
it's a
you
2-year
gotta
window for
look at the
Toronto.
rebuild.
Well, now it'll be a
at
2-year
some
window
point.
anyway.
I
If Philly
think
and
the
Boston
window's
are,
closed,
if Philly and
honestly.
Boston as good as they are right now, and they're
I
only
think
going
the
to get
window's
better,
closed.
Yeah.
Toronto
Yeah,
changing
gone.
coaches doesn't make any sense because whoever you're going to bring in next, you're going to be gone in 2 years anyway.
It's going to be Philly, Boston, and a potential LeBron team if he stays in the East for the next 5 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Well, the thing,
even with LeBron, though, I don't even know if he'll be good enough at this point. To
I don't think he can
get
create a
past
team in
Boston
the
and
East that
Philly.
can
Yeah.
compete
The way
with
that-
either of them.
Not
Yeah.
without some pieces already in that team.
Yeah.
But I think, yes, the window. I still think there's a crack in the window for Toronto. I think it's going to be.
They're going to need some luck.
Wow.
It
They've got nothing there.
doesn't matter.
All right, we're getting a little off topic. We're talking coaches, not necessarily Toronto, how they're, what
But,
they're doing.
like,
So
when
what about your other two nominations here for Coach of the Year? So you have is it Quinn Snyder,
Snyder.
over at Utah, and then you have Coach Stevens for
which is
for
obvious.
Boston.
Stevens has done a great job of that roster.
I think
And
it's
he's a top 5 coach. Like I will give you that. He's a top 5 coach. I don't think
According
he's
to the NBA, he's top 3.
I think he's the 3rd best coach in the league right now.
I think it's a really tough call between Stevens and Quinn. But what both
Yeah.
of them have been able to do, you expected Brad Stevens' team to do well this year.
Yes.
You didn't expect their superstars to go down with injury.
You say that, but after that first 6 minutes of their first game,
Let me
everyone
finish.
expected.
Yeah, everyone
said
canceled the
worst.
season
But let me
at that
finish.
point.
A lot of people canceled the season.
Exactly. You lost your superstars, and throughout the season, you got better and better and better.
Right.
You went into the playoffs a severe underdog. And on the flip side, you look at the Utah team who
Had like
everyone
nothing.
dismissed.
Yeah.
Just straight from the get-go, you had nothing. What were you going to do? You ended up pulling this rookie out who
Donovan Mitchell
looks
ended up
Yeah,
being
you got to give Snyder credit for
Snyder's a
Mitchell.
great coach.
And what his team has done when not a single person would have looked at Utah and said, yeah, they were going to be a playoff contender.
Yeah.
What? Yeah, they were a garbage team.
And,
We're gonna
and
get
both
to the
Utah
second
and
round of
Boston
playoffs.
for the same reason that they both lost Hayward.
Hayward. Yeah.
That's why they both said they weren't going to be contenders.
I mean, but like, it's crazy to me what both coaches have done. I mean, because of what Brad Stevens has been able to do in the playoffs, I think he might have an edge, even though the voting's already in, like they already know who won. But I mean, in my eyes, I feel like Brad Stevens has a little bit of an edge because of what he's been able to do carrying through the playoffs.
I think Snyder equally though. Snyder did very well in the playoffs.
Snyder got
too.
to the
did,
second
but-
round of the playoffs.
Yeah, and they put up a fight against the Rockets too, which is pretty impressive.
They got
I
one
wouldn't
game.
call him a fight. I wouldn't call
More
him
of a fight than
The-
I thought they
The
would.
best
We're
thing-
fighting
I
the
would-
Toronto Raptors.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah, exactly.
The thing that's crazy to me is Brad Stevens has come into this league and he couldn't have been set into a better situation.
Danny Ainge has done such a
Because his team is
amazing
young.
job with
That's
that
a marriage
roster.
you need to. That's a completely separate argument in my mind because if you don't have a good GM, you're not going to have a good coach either.
No.
They both
No,
need to work
that's
well
true.
together.
The coach has to fit the
Don't
team.
don't don't. I'm saying
Remember-
don't discredit don't discredit Stevens because his GM's good.
Right. And Brad Stevens wasn't hotly sought after. When
Right,
the
at
Celtics
all.
hired
No.
him.
But you hired a college coach for a college team. You've got a young.
Well, there were
team.
veterans on that
I
team
don't-
when he
I
was
don't-
hired.
Yes.
Now there's
But you knew you were
clearly
you knew what you were getting.
Right.
I want
You knew you were
to
getting
jump
the
off
best.
his point. I don't think Brad Stevens was sought out at the NBA level, but at the college
Oh,
level,
for sure.
he was the hottest
sure.
commodity in town. And a lot of NBA coaches that do come from college are never really the hottest commodity in town. Like Billy Donovan came out, like
They
so.
also don't necessarily do as well as Stevens has done.
But when you say he wasn't like a. Wow, that lasted almost as long as Rick Pitino does.
Let's jump to the next thing. So we had we talked about coaches. We talked about we talked a little bit about Donovan Mitchell. So let's talk about a little more. He's one of the options for or one of the nominees rather for Rookie of the Year, along with Ben Simmons.
Not a rookie.
He is a rookie, and then Jason Tatum out of Boston. So you have those three to go. So go ahead, Mr. Not a Rookie. Explain your case.
I mean,
Did he play?
no, I'm kind
According to the NBA, you have to at least play. I think it's 16 games or something like
Blake
that.
I am
Griffin didn't
also,
play his technically
I guess I'm
rookie
breaking-
Oh no, sorry. NBA
So-
is one game experience. Is all you
So I am really just being kind. I'm just joking about that because I really love.
No,
Ben
stand by
Simmons'
your
play.
point. Come on.
I mean,
He
yes,
doesn't want me to yell at him.
I mean, you want to
I
yell
don't
at
think
me,
he's a
but
rookie. I'm rigid about that.
you want to take that one? I mean, I guess yes, he's a rookie because he kind of redshirted the year, but he also did have the entire year to be part of the 76ers organization and get used to some of the things that are, some of the days ins and outs of being an NBA player. So he did have a leg up on a guy like Donovan Mitchell. Who would I vote for Rookie of the Year? I would probably give it to Simmons because he did take the 76ers to the playoffs, and he did, I'd say
Okay,
so
but
did Mitchell.
that argument can be made for everybody.
That argument can be made for everybody, but I like Simmons a little more. I think he provided a little more to his team. But then again, Donovan Mitchell has been so good and is such a firecracker. I think Tatum is unlucky in the sense of he got put in a rookie class with two really, really
Absolutely
good,
stacked.
like absolutely stacked. And this was any other year, Tatum would be getting a lot more attention and press. Is this like what last year? Tatum would be getting
this
it?
is where
But-
it's kind of hard because if you look at these three players, which player is going to have the best career? I would probably put my money on Tatum.
I think
truly
Simmons in the
would.
long
Still
run
think
will be.
Simmons.
I don't think Simmons will. I think Simmons' body structure is going to be a challenge for him.
I think his body structure is LeBron.
Yeah.
The guy can play.
that
If
is
you're
gonna be
looking
a
at
challenge
overall,
The
for
guy
him.
can play.
If you're looking at an
positions
overall
1
player,
through 4.
I'm saying overall stats and everything, Ben Simmons is the closest to averaging a triple-double that we've seen for
Yeah.
a rookie. 15.8 points, 8.1, and 8.2 rebounds and assists. Everyone else is 4 or
Yeah.
less when you're talking about the other two rookies. So
Simmons-
Simmons is overall better player. I mean,
Yeah.
the stats don't lie.
He needs
Simmons
to learn how
needs
to
to be
score.
better scorer.
Yeah, he needs to learn how to score.
shoot.
And once he learns how to score, that's when the rest of the
Game
league could just
over.
pack it up. Yeah, game over. I mean, it'll be done. He'll be the next LeBron
If he can stay healthy.
if he can stay
be
healthy.
we
able
have to
to
stop
stay
saying
healthy.
next LeBron, guys. This is one in a generation.
If he
like,
can stay healthy,
one in multiple generation
Not to
players.
mention I hate
Yeah.
LeBron and I don't.
Yeah.
I
want
think
to
he's
hate
going to be the
Ben
next
Simmons.
Yeah.
Detlef Schrempf.
I hope he's better than
wow,
that.
that's quite a comparison.
Wow, that just came out of nowhere.
Compared to Spud Webb.
What made Detlef
What's an
Schrempf come to
obscure?
mind?
I'm just saying for obscure players, man.
All right, Bryce, your take.
Yeah, I mean, I still think I have to give it to Simmons.
Yeah.
These are the kind of arguments that I really wish that there were
A Western
separate
Conference,
awards
yeah.
for a regular season and playoffs. Because playoffs, I think it has to go to
Yeah.
Jason Tatum.
Oh, yeah.
But
Is that
I
just
think
because he's still playing, or
well, I mean, and he's the first rookie,
and that's why they don't include playoffs because
Yeah.
someone
Yeah.
can go 16 more games and
You're also a lot of the time your Rookie of the Year candidate is not on
not
a
in the
playoff
playoffs.
team.
Yeah, you're right. But I still have to give it to Simmons. I
Ben
think,
Simmons has kind of felt that his whole life, hasn't he? Like he was considered the best player in the NBA and never made it to March Madness.
Well, yeah, that one
Oh,
year.
and
I
LSU.
say NCAA never made it to March Madness, and then now it's the same
he
thing
was on
again.
a terrible team and he checked out after
Yeah.
a while.
Oh, I can get paid. I'm out. Thanks, guys.
Yeah, I mean, he pretty much like left.
Oh, the
the
LSU
second
check
semester.
bounced? Bye.
Pretty much. Which is why the one-done system has to change.
Yep.
But no, I mean, I think Ben Simmons has the highest upside in terms of individual talent. I think Tatum is in a better team situation. But I think Simmons has the high. I mean, I think he can be a transcendental player.
But you're talking about him as talent. He's athletic. I think the talent's not quite there yet. If he had
The guy
talent-
knows how to get to the rim, man.
Yeah.
But
If
like
he
if
had
you look
talent,
at
he could shoot, he could move.
But you can develop that.
yeah, like LeBron.
The only thing that's lacking is
like,
his jump shot.
athletic. He's athletic. That's what
Yeah.
you got to give him. If you're looking at pure talent, Tatum has pure talent.
He does.
Donovan Mitchell has pure talent.
But I think
they don't
Simmons has
have
the
the
highest.
athletics.
I'm
that
saying
Ben
Simmons has the highest
has.
upside
Highest ceiling.
as
And
an
also,
individual
like,
career.
you know, you look at LeBron, you look back, he did not come into the league with a great three-point shot. Like, he had to, he
It took
still
a long
had to
time
He
to
grow-
still
develop
doesn't
that
have a good
three-pointer.
three-point
but he still
shot.
had to grow into some of the more finer parts of shooting.
He's
in his
also
game.
19.
Like, you know, you look at Simmons, and I think the same thing as like, look, he's gonna get better. He's gonna get better as a shooter and a three-point shooter. And once he gets that down to a point where he can be just, you know, slightly better than league average, his athleticism is so amazing. Like,
And I don't actually necessarily think he needs to develop a killer jump shot. I think he needs to develop a post game. Because the guy, his height, he can play anywhere 1 through 4. It's like LeBron.
And
yeah,
Marcus
and
Smart
he's got the
kicked his
three-point
butt.
shot
Like-
now. Like,
I mean, I think he can get into the post pretty much whenever he
And
wants.
Marcus Smart tore him apart.
Right, but
Because
Marcus
Marcus
Smart's
one of the
tearing a
best
lot of
defenders in
right.
the
He's
league.
also tearing apart a lot of people
I
right
think
now.
I think the rookie of the year's got to go to Donovan Mitchell simply because he was far and away the best player on his team. And I understand Utah doesn't have the talent that Philadelphia or Boston has, but just what he was able to do in Utah this year kind of just blew me away.
It's true.
I don't think that Simmons. I think Simmons is close. I think it's very close between them. I think Tatum's a little bit farther.
I think
farther
you're playing the
behind,
eye
but-
test, and I kind of like that because I do that a
Yeah.
lot for like MVP and stuff like that as well.
Yeah.
Is you're saying like who blew me away the most?
Oh,
And
yeah,
it was
it's
Mitchell,
Donovan Mitchell
the
far
entire
away, yeah.
season, as opposed to Simmons at like
Ben Simmons.
Yeah, okay, he's still surrounded by
a
good
lot
talent.
this
He's still
year-
doing his thing every night, and same thing with
Yeah.
Tatum. He's more surrounded by a lot more better talent. But with Mitchell, you're saying like this guy's just
Yeah.
insane.
Yeah, and Simmons, I think a lot. He went away a lot this year. He wasn't as consistent all the time, I think, as Mitchell was. And I didn't watch either one of them a huge amount, but I just feel like Mitchell was there constantly when Simmons would kind of dip out a few times.
I'm right there with you, but I think the thing for me is everyone talks about Donovan Mitchell shooting. I mean, his three-point shot is Curry-esque. I mean, it's beautiful. I mean, he's got a heck of a stroke and he's quick triggered. But
get
what he
inside,
didn't
too.
get credit for is his defense. Man, that kid hustled. He hustled all the time. He scrapped for balls, and he's a young kid. And I think hands down he was consistent game in, game out. Ben Simmons wasn't. He's got a heck of a shot. He's got nothing on his team. Ben Simmons has soon-to-be superstar legacy players all around him. Donovan Mitchell is the only player on his team that anyone knows the name of.
yeah, thank you.
Gobert?
We cannot
Yeah.
disrespect
That's
Gobert.
one of the best rim protectors in the league. And man, the pick and roll that they can do with Mitchell and Gobert is potentially killer.
Oh, Gobert, what a superstar.
But yeah,
How about he was starting in the last couple of years?
MVP,
Come on.
MVP nominations: LeBron James, James Harden, and Anthony Davis.
James Harden wins it this year, although, you know, the argument is, like, it's really hard to have an MVP when LeBron is still in the league. Like,
yeah.
you
I
got
don't
to
know
put
why
him-
LeBron doesn't win it.
If you're
every
talking
year. He
most
should.
valuable player, it should be LeBron
Yeah.
pretty much every year. But
Who won it
you
last
could-
year?
Russell.
What did he do last year?
Averaged a triple.
What did he do this year?
Average.
How is he not on this list? Are you kidding me?
Thank you.
Can't play
Are
with
you
him.
kidding me?
Because
It
nobody
doesn't
can
make
play
any
with him.
He's
still,
a poison.
and no one can play
talent
with
in.
LeBron. They brought talent in to play with him, and he still averaged a triple double. Last year,
And the
he didn't
team was
have
still
anybody.
terrible.
Still, but
The guy-
okay, but
you
it doesn't matter.
can't
He
play
still won
with him.
MVP last year.
LeBron-
He's doing
I don't
something
think it's a coincidence.
He's doing something no one's ever done before.
I don't think
ever.
it's a coincidence that
He's not
Victor
even on the list.
Oladipo went from terrible on OKC to suddenly a borderline superstar in Indiana just by leaving a team and not playing with Russell Westbrook.
I just don't know how he's not even on the list. How is he not even considered? Last year, it was like a runaway almost. It was like,
because last year he had the excuse of he didn't have any help on his team.
This
He had
year-
lots of help on his team.
And
This
you
year,
got to
and he
look
still
at the
did it.
Cavs too.
And the team was still bad.
But he won it last year with the
That's
same
fine. He
formula.
gets the numbers. He's not helping his team.
He won it last year
I
with the
love
same
how we're
formula,
talking about a
and
playoff team too. It's like the team is still bad.
But
They
they
did
were
make the playoffs.
they were
playoffs.
And they would have beat
Did make the
90% of the Eastern
Yeah, well, they
Conference
had a
race.
big three and they couldn't make it out of the.
Okay, Melo is
first
not a
round.
3.
No,
at
he's
all.
not. He's not.
Yeah, they
They
had
had
a
a
2
big 2
Melo.
and a washed up 3.
But I think though, I mean, I think Harden is probably a presumptive MVP
Harden's
at this
gonna
point.
win it.
Harden's going to win it.
Yeah, Harden
but
will win it. Should be
Anthony
LeBron.
Davis.
I'm saying, let's play Nick's little eye test here. Let's play the
Anthony
wow
Davis.
factor.
Eye test Anthony Davis.
He was
day.
about the best player in the world for like a 2-month stretch.
I've said,
Averaging like 50 points,
was
20 rebounds.
Unbelievable.
I've said that unless
Once
you do
Boogie
something
went
that
down.
statistically wows the crap out of me, I'm going to go with the eye test. I'm a big fan of that. Who can we not do without in this league? And yes, I guess this is your LeBrons and your Kevin Durant's. But with Anthony Davis, what he did this year was just insane.
I don't know. I would
Unbelievable.
love for LeBron to be gone. I vote for that.
I think at the end of the day, you just got to look at the term most valuable player. How good would that team be if you took that player off that team?
See, I don't believe in that definition though, because
And this is why I
it's
think
more of a
you should
team
set-
MVP.
this
That's
is why
not
I
a
think you
league
should
MVP.
That's why I think you should separate the awards too. This is why
I
you
I
love
think you need
LeBron
to change the
being an MVP,
definition of the
pretty
MVP. You have to change the definition of what the MVP is. I would say it's that wow factor. Who's that? I don't know. Maybe it's most popular player. I don't know. Something
Well,
like
I know
that.
what the
Like,
NFL. You know,
what
the
gets you
NFL
off your
does.
feet?
The NFL
The
has
MPP. I mean, that's what I would go with.
You know, the NFL has the best
You know me.
offensive player, and then they have the MVP. And I think the NBA should look at doing something
That would
like
be-
that.
that would be
It's like, okay,
Well, we
who
have
is-
our best defensive player. We might as well have
like best offensive player, and then that way
There's
you
not
can-
currently a best offensive player in the NBA.
No.
no.
Oh, just
Defensive player of the year
And
MVP.
that's why I think you can give that
90 years in the
give
waiting.
that award out to your guys like Westbrook and Harden who have those amazing seasons, and also give out an MVP to the most valuable player, because if Anthony Davis is on the Pelicans are a lottery team. If Anthony Davis doesn't go crazy after the DeMarcus Cousins injury, the Pelicans, we could be talking about the 5th or 6th pick in the draft with this team. Like
Pelicans
he's
would be
that
and not to
good.
undersell Drew Holiday's emergence.
Not to
He's
undersell the
overrated.
team in general, but without Anthony Davis, that team
Yeah, oh,
is
yeah.
nothing.
For sure.
Yeah, and the same with
sure.
the Cavs and
Like-
LeBron. I think the Cavs are even worse than New Orleans would be if they didn't have LeBron.
I
think
argue that.
I-
Before they dumped that team for a bunch of young Lakers, that team had talent, it had veterans, it had skill.
I slightly
LeBron
argue
takes
about that.
all teams
I don't know about
and
that.
diminishes it.
I think if
because
you
you
take-
can't play with a guy who doesn't play with
Kevin
others.
Love at this
Jumping on
point is
JT's
average,
point.
and he's their
Because
second best
LeBron
player.
makes everyone average.
Yeah.
Because you have to
does?
play his
I think
style of
Kevin Love
basketball.
has his own kind
But
of
he averages
problems at this
nine
point.
assists a game, so he's helping someone score.
He's more Magic Johnson than he is Michael Jordan, just in the way he passes. He's an unbelievable passer.
I think if the
You
Cavaliers
can't play with a guy who
Little silence.
the entire
Little
time
silence there.
constantly complains about his team, talks to the
He
media
does?
about how awful his players are and how his coaching is
I
so
think
bad.
I think you mean Isaiah Thomas when he was in Cleveland.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that was
Just
Isaiah
one
Thomas.
player that
No.
he's mad at.
No, he's
No,
done it
Isaiah
his
Thomas is the
entire
one talking
career.
about the team.
He's done it his entire career in Cleveland, both freaking times, because he wanted different players, he wanted different things, and so then he was like, "No, I
Well,
give
wants
up. You're not
immediate
doing what I
change, and
wanted
that's just
to."
that's not the nature of the beast for NBA. You're not going to just bring in 3 superstars and win championships. Not like that.
You don't coach LeBron. LeBron owns your team, tells you what to do, and you just sit
Tell
there
that to
and
Eric Spoelstra.
do what you want to do.
I think that's what makes Eric Spoelstra a very
So he's
underrated
going back
coach,
to
is able
Miami.
to
Is that
coach
what you're
LeBron.
saying?
Miami
No,
actually
Spoelstra
would be a bad fit for
Coached the
LeBron.
crap out of
Again.
those teams. No, he didn't.
LeBron in Miami again. That would be something.
Can we
Just
not?
keep going back and forth.
Can we not do this?
In 4 more years, they'll go back.
I'm gonna spend Tuesdays
LeBron
and
and Goran
Thursdays in
Dragic.
Cleveland, and Wednesdays and Fridays in,
In
Miami.
in Miami. Lots happened since we've
Weekends
been
in
on.
LA
LA.
every other weekend.
Yeah.
A lot's happened since we were on last year on Northwest Access TV. We also had the NFL draft, and I know some people wanted to get a
So,
little touch
side
on
point,
that.
speaking of the NFL draft, it just came out this morning. The Browns have been selected for Hard Knocks as of
Really?
10 minutes ago.
Oh, John.
That might be the most people ever watching Cleveland.
I mean,
Like every
we're,
week.
we're talking about the NFL draft. We're
Is it
moving
going to
the
be
NFL
blacked out in
draft.
some networks because nobody's watching?
It might as well be.
I think it'll be a really interesting show. I mean, with Baker Mayfield. And
Yeah.
the
We'll
team
get more
that
viewers
owns
with the
16
actual
wins.
Browns games.
Yeah, like,
Oh, pass.
Did you say that?
I just wanted to mention
Just
that.
reiterating my first thought.
I just
Is the
I'm the
Magic
MVP,
fan
Paul.
really talking
I'm
smack
the
about
MVP.
bad teams over here?
I think the Browns.
I'm
are
not
worse than the
talking
Magic.
smack. I just feel like I can identify.
Okay, so
more
Browns
with
are
it.
going to be on Hard Knocks.
Just wanted to mention that as we go into our NFL. draft
JC's very
discussion.
excited about who the Eagles picked up in their NFL draft. And yet it's nothing new, so I don't know why you're so excited about it.
I want to know what you do with him.
What, a rugby player?
You cut him
What are you
after
doing?
week 1 of training
Special teams,
camp.
buddy. Nate Ebner, Patriots, U.S. rugby team. He's a special teamer, rugger.
Have you ever
Big
seen
hands,
a
big hands, and runs
6'8"?
people over.
Have you ever seen a 6'8", 350-pound man move the way that guy does?
Yeah, I did see that guy. I did see that guy's
lot.
tape, and I thought he was playing against like youth players, and then I realized he
Which
was
is one of my
playing.
favorite things ever.
He's
Actual players
huge,
running over
and he
people.
runs the same exact 40-yard dash as Gronkowski. He's 6'8", 350 pounds. He has him by 100 pounds.
Yeah, but he's
Can he
never
catch?
played American football before.
So what? What are you good? Find something for this guy to do.
Right guard.
Defensive end, linebacker, tight end. I mean, just
Assistant coach.
Based on the stats you told me and the way that he's able to play, it sounds
can
like
move so
fullback
fast,
is
get
going to be his main
everybody
position.
Towel boy.
I want,
Boys and
I
Cowboys.
want him to be everywhere. I want him to be a fullback from time to time. I want him to be your tight end. I don't mind him on the
fullback.
offensive line.
I
which
want him to be
think
on
is
the
what he's
cheerleading
technically
squad.
listed at.
I wanted to
do
be
everything.
selling food at the concession
There
stand.
was
He
an
did
arena.
everything.
There
let
was
him
an
own
arena
the
league
team for a
football
week.
player that was part of the cheerleading. squad.
Make him a
yeah.
defensive end. Who wants to get hit by this dude?
Do you realize that?
How much work has to go into that?
Yeah.
Like,
I'm
you
well
know,
aware, but
I think.
do something.
He's likely going to start off on special teams
Yeah.
and excel.
like, do you
He's
know
actually
why he was
lucky.
drafted
He's
in the
currently
7th
listed as
round?
offensive line.
Because he's never played football before.
Yeah, like, come on. Like,
mean-
Bryce, as a fellow Patriot fan, were you shocked, surprised by some of the moves that they made?
I mean, so
Or did you expect a
granted,
lot?
I don't
Not really?
particularly pay too much attention to
draft.
the NFL draft.
Loser.
I was a little surprised.
Oh, loser.
He also stated that he
I
doesn't
was-
really watch football.
I
either,
watched
and
the
we
first
And then he
two
had a
nights.
couple
that
fantasy
was
teams.
I
rough.
watched the first 2 nights. My team didn't even have a pick in the first 2 nights.
I
That's
just won,
dedication.
I won my at a fantasy football league 2 years ago.
No big deal.
Wow.
NBD.
I don't watch football. I don't know
MVP.
Where'd you
anything.
go, Bryce?
I watch football. I don't watch the draft, or I don't watch any college football. So there you go. I was a little surprised that they didn't take like a quarterback earlier,
I think a lot of people were.
but I think
Doesn't that, wouldn't
I
that,
think
shouldn't
that
that just
means
tell you, as a Patriots fan,
they
that
had-
Tom Brady was
Brady's
actually
sticking around
serious
for a
about
couple
not
years.
retiring?
Yep.
And then
So
all the
that's-
back talk about him
I don't know how I
leaving
feel
and
about that.
retiring isn't really true. I mean, I assume that he had to, that
Yeah.
his sales pitch to Belichick and them must have been really
It's
dang
been
good.
super good.
But you don't have to take. But that's the thing is, for New England, you don't have to take
That's
a quarterback
true.
in the draft because you just have to wait for summer camp to end, find out who's getting cut, and go.
Take that guy.
Let's give that guy a
one.
shot.
But so I was also expecting them to take a tight end until Gronk said that he was coming back, and then I wasn't so surprised they didn't take a tight end in the first.
It's-
round.
it's no
surprised
coinc-
you didn't take a tight end.
It's no
earlier.
coincidence that he said he was coming back 2 days before the NFL
Yeah.
draft.
Yeah,
I'm
for sure.
surprised they took a running back in the first round. I did not expect
Well,
that.
they're trying
Georgia
to
players.
supplement Deion Lewis is what they're doing.
Which is a
Yeah.
great idea, I think, for the Patriots. You know, you're still trying to make that push to go back.
And
the
also
Super
to
Bowl,
draft,
like-
it's that running back's lead blocker from Georgia, right?
Yes,
That
the,
they
the
all
running,
drafted.
the,
So-
the,
so you
the
got-
offensive guard. Offensive
Yeah,
guard,
So you got that tandem. So I think, I mean, that's a pretty smart move to keep
Yeah,
that
no.
tandem together. And if it was effective in college and just develop it
After the
for
second
pro
pick,
game.
I'm thinking like, all right, who else from Georgia's left? Is anyone
Yeah,
else
right.
going to be drafted?
right.
And
It's
look,
a cornerback
Georgia
from
was a good team.
Georgia.
That was a
Did
good
Georgia
running
have any
game.
good quarterbacks this year?
No, I mean, that was smart.
No, I like the pick that the Patriots made. I really love my favorite pick in the draft, and maybe it's because I like the eye test and I like flashy players. The Ravens trading up for Lamar Jackson. I was excited for that. I think it's the perfect place for him to go.
Joe
Oh, there we
Flacco
go.
on
What?
notice.
He's leaning.
Have you watched Lamar
Yeah.
Jackson play
Yeah.
football?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
I was
Why?
excited about Lamar Jackson potentially like just falling in the draft, and he didn't.
Well, I was like,
So-
oh man, I was just like sitting there. I'm like, when is Bill Belichick just going to pick this guy up? Like, because he's just falling and falling and falling. And yeah, Lamar Jackson is a lot of fun to watch, and he can develop.
But to a
into-
team that
he doesn't have to play.
Yes.
he's got no hope of doing anything.
Like-
There's no one on that team that's any good.
Have
You
you
guys gotta keep
watched the
going with that
Ravens play
cadence.
football?
Right,
Like,
No,
but-
I don't watch
But
any
hold on a second.
football.
Hold on. You say the team's not any good. Lamar Jackson's still 2-3 years from taking over a quarterback role anyway. So in the next few years, that team could
I
develop.
don't necessarily think that. I mean, Joe Flacco's sucked the last
Yeah, it's
Don't
not-
say it.
bad.
What? Joe Flacco's elite?
I hate you so much.
No, I don't think. No, I think
Top 5 quarterback.
I think it's a great idea for a lot of reasons. There was, you know,
college.
Flacco's great in the pick and roll.
Best quarterback of all time to come from the University of Delaware.
/ only. But no, I think it's a great move by the Ravens to pick him up because you give him a year to just sit and watch and just learn the NFL playbook.
And you want him learning from
Joe
Flacco?
Flacco. Hey, but if you're the Ravens,
elite.
you're protecting your future. And I
You
think
are.
Lamar Jackson could be that player. I
just think it's
because you don't know where the league's going to go in the next few years. We've said this over the last 20 years, where quarterbacks from back then would be ridiculous MVPs if they were playing now. Who knows what's going to happen in the next few
absolutely.
years?
But we all
the
know
rules are
that when
played.
it comes to a quarterback coming out of college, your success depends on where you go. And I think for Lamar Jackson's success, he went to the wrong team.
He didn't choose that.
He went to the wrong team. His chance of success with the Baltimore Ravens is very minimal.
I feel like it's just too early to tell
disagree.
that. Right. I think it's too early to tell
Absolutely
that.
disagree
You
because
can't-
the
yeah.
fact of the matter is
Look
that
how quickly
Harbaugh
the
is a
Eagles got
great
around.
coach.
The Eagles had a team around it.
Yeah, no, but like look at the Eagles like 3 years ago, and now look at the Eagles now. They were picking second overall, and now they're Super Bowl champions. Teams can change quickly. That's what I'm trying to say.
You just need
There's
to get
a
Chip
lot that
Kelly
would
out.
need to change.
Just getting our cues. We got 10 minutes left.
Bryce lost.
I lost
his
my
taste.
So,
agenda.
unless you're, that's okay. Let's bring it back like we do every time on Huddle Up with our home field advantage. And the one that I want to talk about was sports gambling is now potentially legal in all 50 states. It will require the states to kind of take it on themselves. So, if at all it ever comes to Vermont, which I'm not sure
won't.
if it will or not.
Not much for Vermont
I'm-
to really gamble on.
Yeah. So
Well, let's go
what,
gamble on the Lake Monsters game tonight.
Right. So and that was my
will
point.
Lake
It's
Monsters
like,
gamble that
what
they
would be
lose?
what would be the thing
You're
you
probably
want to
gonna be
gamble
right.
on?
Is seventh grade soccer in play?
But here's what I'm opening it up. No, open it up seriously. If everything
No,
was on the
seriously,
table,
it's 7th grade soccer in
if everything
play.
was open up on the table, what would you bet on in Vermont when it comes to sports? I think for me, just because of the sheer like question mark of it, might be the MVU girls win-loss for like the year. What's the over-under?
$500 on one win
This
every
is the
year.
guy. This is
I
the
will
guy. That
cash
every time we
in.
made gambling jokes.
Well, yeah.
covering
Right.
it.
No, when
High
you
school
gamble,
games
no,
all
there's
year.
no gambling on set. I'm saying, what would you gamble
So
on?
are we allowed? So are
Dustin,
we?
it was like
Would-
that time that they had
Still
a
can't do it. It's
MVU
not legal.
football,
Country BFA.
win-loss.
Win-loss MVU.
So my question is now that sports
Coach.
gambling is legal, are we allowed to gamble on set now because we're no
No.
longer at the school?
No.
Come on.
It's still
Come
a
on.
non-profit. No.
We can just drink beer now.
Yes, that's true.
We can drink beer.
Well, not at 10
Not
in
at
the morning.
9 in the morning.
Yeah, yes, I can.
Just watch me.
Built in athletics? Yes, I can. Coming right into work, boss. Right there.
No, I don't think
only have
If you did, we just might have a follow-up meeting where we talk about our
with
feelings.
HR. And,
Yeah.
The AA meeting's in the other room. Cool. Bring it back.
that's
Just
the
bring it back real
next
quick.
show.
What could you? What would you be excited to vote about, to bet on with sports?
JV basketball. Over under 30. Straight up.
The snowball.
Because when you think about it, it would really only be like UVM athletics
Yeah.
if
Snowball.
you were to do that.
Snowball.
The snowball?
Yeah.
I don't know what the snowball is.
We play in the snowball.
Oh, our snowball?
Whoa.
We won that. Well, you bring 14 people on a team.
We can do some Middlebury, some D3.
Castleton
D3
win-loss
action?
record. Castleton lacrosse. Let's go. Let's go. Do they even have a lacrosse team? I don't know.
I think they.
Hey, you want to bet on that?
I could see a lot of people gambling on the Lake Monsters.
Yeah.
I definitely could. I mean, the
Who's
amount
next?
of people
Addison
that are.
Russell.
Or the Bucks?
You could
Oh,
they
the
don't
Bucks.
exist. They don't
Right.
exist anymore.
Bucks are gone,
They
though.
folded.
They've
They're
hold
done
on.
already?
Yeah, Bucks
Shocker.
are gone.
You could
Is it
gamble.
one season or two?
One.
You could gamble on Thunder
Didn't they win?
Road.
Yes.
Yes, that. Hold
Thunder
on.
Road
Okay,
could
we're gonna keep that local. Let's bring that back. Wait, Vermont Bucks won the championship and then they folded.
Yes.
That's the way to go out, man.
Yes.
Win,
Go
just
out on top.
go out on top
One
completely.
and done, bro.
One and done. What?
Who said we want to
This
get rid
was
of
news
one
to
and
me. I
done?
didn't know that happened.
No, this is why indoor
Vegas
football is
Golden
always
Knights
the
might do the
stupidest
same
thing. As far as like
also they're-
indoor football leagues.
It's
die.
boring.
Tickets were
Watch.
like $25.
Who's
Yeah.
paying 25
Who's
bucks
gonna
to
go
go
to
sit
that?
at
Yeah.
Gutterson?
Yeah, right.
That's the trouble.
And it's boring to watch.
I love
It's
that.
awful.
I absolutely love that. It's the favorite thing I've heard today so far is that they won the championship and then folded.
They're gone.
That's fantastic. It's like, you ain't winning. I'm done.
Well, I mean,
No,
that-
we don't have to defend. We're
that
undefeated.
doesn't. That's not a good precedent for the Vegas Golden Knights.
Yeah.
Who are on
say
their
that.
way to starting to 2 wins away, right, from going to the Stanley Cup.
Hey,
Yeah.
who's your hockey
Two
talk?
wins away from going to the Stanley Cup, and they will face the winner of Washington and Tampa Bay.
Which is Washington
won,
up
right?
2-1.
Washington up 2-1.
I think Washington is up 2-1 because they won both
Yeah.
games in Tampa.
And then they just
so.
lost. My favorite segment of the week, because we're running out of time here, is our Just Trash with Dustin Tanner. So Dustin, take it away.
Look at that.
I love it. I love it so
Tanner.
much.
Oh, that's fantastic.
So Dustin,
We had a lot of candidates this week. Over the
you've had a
last
lot of
month.
candidates in the last 2 months.
There's
since we've
been a
been on
lot
the
of
show.
trash
Turn to
going
the
around.
side.
I cannot fill it
I'm
up.
just gonna enjoy
Next
this
week.
now.
And I thought that I was gonna go with something social media based, but then J.R. Smith just played a fabulous game the other night, and he topped it off.
Wait,
with
you mean a super
with a
game?
super game? J.R. Smith is the MVP of being the most awful shooting guard in the league.
The MTP.
Oh my gosh, how bad can you be? Okay, look. He got 28 minutes, 30 minutes, and he went over
Actually,
8 shooting.
MVT, most valuable trash.
Like we're talking in a game here where this is a critical game too. Your team is in it the entire game, and you can't make a single bucket. On top of that, you then decide at the end of the game when it's still like 5-point game or something. So it's like you're still in this to push somebody in the middle of the air. Like, that's the dumbest foul I've seen all playoffs. Like,
Can I argue you're just trash? To take it away from J.R. Smith and put in the NBA and referees. Because if that is not a flagrant 2 foul, what
is?
the heck?
What is?
no, I agree with
yeah.
that, but it's just like J.R. Smith found a way to have an awful game, and I cannot believe Tyronn Lue did not take him out. Like, look,
the
I know
push was like the cherry on top.
I know, like, C.D. Osman isn't a great player, but 2 points a game is still better than 0 points a game. Like, a guy who shoots 30%.
Shirts was the right word for that, honestly.
The guy who shoots 30% is better than a guy who's shooting a nice 0%. Like, wow.
He and George Hill combined for 3 points.
Like,
last year.
how are you
The
in the
entire
NBA?
Cavs
I could
backcourt.
go 0 for 6 against the Celtics. Like,
Dustin, come
like
on.
I
You
could
can
at
go
least-
for 8.
I could chuck up a couple
0 for
shots.
100, bro.
I could hit rim a couple
think you hit one.
times.
But could you push Al Horford like J.R.
I
Smith?
could probably push Al Hartford if he was close enough to me.
Wait,
like,
do you keep calling him Hartford?
Al Hartford.
He's
hearing
calling
Al
him Hartford.
Hartford.
I'm calling him Garnett. What's the problem?
Is this the Ganny Laurel thing?
No, you were calling
we're not bringing that into the
Durant.
show. We are not bringing that into the show. But my just trash this week, and I've had a lot, is a really hard decision. But J.R. Smith just.
See,
takes
I
the
would
cake.
almost side with JT. Is just the refs in
No,
general.
the
or
refs
the
have
NBA
been
in
awful,
general,
but
'cause I
I've
don't
only
understand-
gone off on refs this year.
Now,
like,
correct me if
it's
I'm
not
wrong.
so
Was
much
Marcus
that the refs
Smart,
are
was
awful.
Marcus Smart issued a technical foul?
Yes.
Yes.
That didn't make any sense to
Terrible.
me because if you
Terrible.
watch the replay
Terrible.
over and over again, all he did was get in his face.
Yeah.
And JR did all the pushing.
Yeah.
He
Arm
never
came back.
It doesn't matter. He never,
Arm came
Smart
back.
did look like he was leaning
His
back,
arm
and
came
Thompson
back.
Was he
actually
leaning back
grabbed
or was
it
he pushed
and
this
kept it.
way?
No, his arm
His arm
came
was
back, the
coming
fist
back.
was locked. That
I don't think he
fist
was
was
gonna do it.
locked.
Fine.
If the fist is locked, it's a flagrant. That's how
My
it goes.
first thought when Marcus Smart ran to J.R. Smith was like, "Hey man, your man's on the ground over there. You might want to go get him instead." Like Al Horford's on the ground completely holding
Look,
him back.
Marcus Smart
Which scared me a
understands
little bit.
he needs to defend Horford's honor.
Horford's on.
All right?
We're in the final 2 minutes of
honor.
Huddle Up, and Nick was the only one that submitted anything for a topic. So we'll just Stanley Cup and NBA final predictions as we go forward. So just go straight down the line. Dustin, what do you got for potential final match?
Potential finals matchup, it's going to be Celtics and Warriors for the NBA. And for the NHL, I am going to take the Washington Capitals versus the Winnipeg Jets. I believe in Winnipeg. I love that Winnipeg team.
do
They're a
love Winnipeg
lot
as
of
well.
fun to watch.
Yes. Yep.
Bryce?
Do you need a list of teams?
NBA Finals prediction, also Warriors Celtics. Stanley Cup, I kind of want to see Tampa, Winnipeg, just to see Gary Bettman poop himself with how bad those ratings are going to be.
Oh, bad.
It's the San Antonio Cleveland equivalent
Yeah.
of
It is.
2007.
It really is.
I just want to see that.
I think it's worse than that, isn't it?
I think so
who
too.
else
You're
is
already in
gonna
a league that a majority of people don't watch, and now you're gonna have 2 teams that no one really
get
wants
so
to watch
excited
in general.
for Winnipeg, Tampa. That's right.
Nick,
Also, congrats to the Bucks for tapping Mike Budenholzer as their
Yes.
coach. That's actually a great move
Yeah.
from Milwaukee.
Yes.
And Giannis. Go ahead.
For the NBA, as I predicted earlier, in 6 games, the Celtics are
Yeah.
going to beat the Cleveland
I'm going to owe you
Cavaliers.
$10. It's fine. I know. It's okay. I
owe you
accept it.
$10. Wait, if that happened, if they beat him in
We-
6 or less than 6.
Well, Dustin, I think it was straight up.
I said Cavs in 6 at the beginning of the series. for 10, and if the Celtics
Maybe
win
5.
seven-
You said
we're not
this,
gambling.
Remember, this gambling happened before.
So
we were
yeah,
on
no,
set.
I've accepted
Not
that.
on
I've
set.
already have the check
All right,
right
go
now.
ahead. Keep going.
Like, it's
And
ready to
NHL,
go.
Nick?
And NHL, I want Winnipeg to win, but I think it's going to be Vegas and the Capitals.
Yeah.
And I think
And
that's
real
going to be a
quick,
really
JT.
good series.
Warriors.
They're going to win. They're going to win the NHL
Celtics.
too.
They are
Oh wow, that's really good.
multi-talented.
Hey, Draymond Green completed
No,
his
I
NHL
think
play.
Katie on
I think
skates.
Vegas and Washington will be your finals. in
I'd love to see Vegas win.
NHL.
I think it'd be just a great storyline, especially from. I would feel great about Fleury too, goalie for
love
them. I would
Well,
love
it's
to have
also
that
really
happen.
good for
Goaltending wins
Vegas
you
in
games.
general.
Right.
For
It's
the other
really-
teams that want to come in.
And then for basketball, I have the Warriors winning in 5. Zach's freaking out because we have like 20 seconds left. Yeah, you can see the talk. We have a couple seconds here.
The
That's
clock
gonna do
actually
it.
works in the new studio.
That's going to do it for us here on Huddle Up. I'm Paul. This you got Dustin, Bryce, Nick, and JT. We'll be back next week with another edition here on Northwest Access TV.